There is a mistake most men make every single time they hug a woman. It is subtle, it takes less than 5 seconds, and in that brief moment, before a single word has been spoken, before any conversation has begun, her subconscious has already made a decision about you. Not consciously, not deliberately, but completely and immediately. Her limbic system, the emotional brain, the part that responds to safety, to presence, to the felt sense of who you actually are, processes the information your body just communicated. And the conclusion it reaches in those few seconds will color every interaction you have with her afterward. Most men have no idea this is happening. They hug the way they saw their friends hug, the way they saw it done in movies.
The way nobody ever corrected them on, because nobody ever taught them there was anything to correct. And they walk away from moments that could have been meaningful, could have created something real, never understanding why something felt slightly off. Why the connection that seemed to be building did not quite land the way they expected. Today that changes. We're going to talk about what the way you hug a woman actually communicates to her nervous system. The 3 patterns that quietly destroy chemistry before it has a chance to develop. And, most importantly, what a hug that communicates genuine masculine presence actually looks and feels like. This is not about technique for its own sake. This is about presence, about what it means to be genuinely, fully, completely there, in a hug, in a conversation, in every interaction. Because once you understand that, everything shifts. Not just how you hug, how you show up. Stay with me through the entire video.
Because what I want to share at the end about presence, emotional stability, and what women are actually responding to beneath every physical interaction is the part that changes the most. Welcome back to Secrets Inside the Mind. I am Liza. Every single day on this channel, we have honest, real conversations about human psychology, attraction, and the truths about connection that most people are too afraid to say clearly. If you are not subscribed yet, please do that right now and turn on your notifications. I post every day, and I genuinely want you here for every conversation. Now let us get into this. Why her body decides before her mind does. Before we get into the specific patterns, I want to establish something that will make everything else make sense. Women feel first and think later. Not because they are irrational, but because the human emotional brain, the limbic system, processes social and physical information in under 4 seconds.
Long before the conscious analytical mind has formed a single clear thought, her body has already registered whether your presence feels safe, grounded, and genuine, or whether something is slightly off. This means that a hug, or the specific quality of a hug, communicates something to her before either of you has said a word. It answers questions she was not consciously asking. Questions like, does this man know who he is? Does he feel safe to be near? Is he present with me right now or somewhere else entirely? And here is what makes this significant. It does not matter how well the conversation went before this moment. It does not matter how funny or interesting or accomplished you are. If the physical quality of that brief contact communicates something that her nervous system registers as hesitant, invasive, or absent, that impression will persist. It will color the entire interaction afterward, often without either of you understanding why.
This is not about manipulation or strategy. This is about the basic psychology of how human beings read each other through physical contact. And once you understand it, once you can actually feel the difference between a hug that communicates genuine presence and one that communicates something else entirely, you will never approach these moments the same way again. With that foundation in place, let us talk about the 3 patterns that quietly destroy chemistry, and then the one that creates it. Before we get into the first pattern, please subscribe to Secrets Inside the Mind right now. I am Liza. I post every single day, and every video is a real, honest conversation about human psychology and attraction. Hit that subscribe button and let us get into this. The hesitant hug, what it actually communicates.
The first pattern is the one most men are guilty of, and the one that creates the most confusion because it comes from a place of genuine consideration rather than carelessness. The hesitant hug, arms barely touching, body held back at a distance. Pressure so light it communicates uncertainty rather than warmth. Or the one-sided version, the arm around the shoulder while the rest of the body stays carefully separate, pat on the back included, as if you are offering comfort to someone you barely know. This hug comes from a good place in most men. It comes from not wanting to overstep, from being considerate of her space, from a genuine desire not to make her uncomfortable. But here is what it actually communicates to her nervous system, regardless of intention, hesitation, uncertainty. A man who is not quite sure of himself in this moment. A man who is holding back not because he is respecting her, but because something in him is slightly unsettled. And here is the critical thing about that communication. She does not consciously think. He seems uncertain. It is not a deliberate judgment. It is a feeling, a vague but persistent sense that something was slightly off in that moment, that the energy did not quite land, that there was something missing from the interaction she cannot entirely name. Research in social psychology consistently shows that people read physical contact for emotional information, not just physical information. The pressure, the pace, the quality of stillness in a hug communicate emotional state with remarkable accuracy. A hesitant hug communicates hesitance. A grounded hug communicates groundedness. Not because anyone is analyzing it consciously, but because the body reads it automatically. The solution is not to suddenly hug people aggressively. The solution is to understand that genuine, warm, grounded physical contact communicates the same groundedness in your character, and that the first step toward giving that is actually being present in the moment rather than managing it from a distance. Pattern 2, the overpowering hug, when more becomes less. The second pattern is the opposite extreme, and it is just as damaging to connection, but for entirely different reasons than the overpowering hug. Too much pressure, too long a hold, hands that wander to places that should remain off limits in a greeting, an intensity that crosses from warmth into invasion without the person doing it recognizing the line they passed. This pattern does not typically come from bad intention either. It often comes from genuine enthusiasm, from a man who is excited about the connection, who wants to express warmth, who mistakes intensity for presence. But here is what it communicates to her nervous system. Discomfort, a lack of social awareness. The specific, deeply unsettling sense that her space is not being respected, that her comfort is secondary to what the other person wants from this moment. When her nervous system registers that feeling, it does something completely automatic and completely irreversible in the short term. It goes into protective mode. Her body closes, her emotional openness shuts down, and the connection that was building, sometimes genuinely strong, sometimes genuinely promising, collapses instantly. There is no recovering from an overpowering hug by being charming afterward, because the damage did not happen in the realm of words or conversation. It happened in the realm of physical safety. And the nervous system does not respond to charm once it has registered a threat to its comfort. The lesson here is important. More physical intensity is not the same as more masculine presence.
Real masculine presence is actually characterized by control, by the ability to bring warmth and firmness together without tipping into overwhelm. It is the specific quality of someone who could be more intense, but chooses not to be. And that restraint, that calibration, communicates far more genuine confidence than raw intensity ever does. We are halfway through, and what comes next, the third pattern and then the real alternative, is where everything changes. Before we get there, Please subscribe to Secrets Inside the Mind if you have not already. I am here every single day, and I do not want you to miss this. The absent hug, the one that hurts most. The third pattern is the most underestimated of all three, and in many ways, it is the most damaging because it does not feel wrong in any obvious way. It simply feels like nothing. The absent hug. You are physically there. Your arms are around her. The hug is technically happening,
but you are somewhere else entirely. Your eyes are scanning the room over her shoulder. Your body is tense in a way that communicates distraction. You are holding your breath without realizing it. And the moment it becomes even slightly comfortable, the moment real presence would require something of you, you pull away. Too fast. Like you briefly touched something and needed to step back. Physically present. Emotionally absent. Women feel this instantly and feel it deeply. Not as a grievance or a judgment, but as a specific emotional experience that registers somewhere beneath conscious thought. The experience of being in contact with someone and simultaneously feeling invisible, of someone being close and somehow still entirely elsewhere. In a world saturated with distraction, with phones and notifications and the constant pull of everything competing for attention, the absent hug has become epidemic. Men give it constantly without realizing, and it quietly undermines connection that could have been real. Real not because anything overtly wrong happened, but because nothing genuinely present happened either. The absence is the problem, not something you did, something you were not. The alternative, what genuine presence actually feels like. Now let us talk about what actually creates connection through physical contact, because understanding the alternatives requires understanding what you are working toward. A hug that communicates genuine masculine presence is not defined by any single technical element. It is defined by a quality, the quality of actually being there. Here is what that looks like in practice. You approach with calm intention, not with hesitation, not with performance, but with the specific energy of someone who is comfortable in this moment. Your body is relaxed, but not slack. Feet planted, shoulders easy, spine upright without rigidity. One hand goes to your upper back, between the shoulder blades, with steady, warm pressure. Not timid, not crushing, present. The other hand rests in the same region, creating a sense of genuine embrace rather than a technical approximation of one. Chest to chest, real contact, not maintained at a careful distance. And then, the element that most men never think about, you breathe. A slow, full, natural breath, not performed. Simply the breath of someone who is actually genuinely, completely in this moment, rather than managing it from somewhere slightly outside of it. This matters more than most people realize. Breathing is the most direct signal of nervous system state. Held breath communicates tension, anxiety, the specific physical sensation of someone who is not quite at ease. A natural, unhurried breath communicates the opposite. Calm, groundedness, the felt sense of someone who does not need to control this moment because they are simply present in it. And that calmness, the qi, that specific neurological quality of a settled nervous system in Zarqao, is contagious in the most literal sense. When her body registers your calm in those few seconds of contact, her own nervous system begins to mirror it, her body relaxes, her guard comes down, not because she decided to trust you, but because her physiology responded to yours. That is when real connection forms. Not through words, not through charm, through the specific, authentic, completely present quality of your actual physical and emotional state in that moment. The duration matters. Between 2 and 5 seconds is the range where her nervous system registers genuine presence without the hug tipping into awkward territory. And how you end it matters as much as how you begin it. You release calmly. Your hands slide back naturally. You hold eye contact for one extra beat. You give a genuine, unhurried smile. All of that is still part of the same communication. All of it is still saying the same thing. I was actually here with you. The deeper truth, Presence is the foundation of everything. I want to spend a moment here on something that goes beyond the hug itself, because the hug is actually a small expression of something much larger. The quality that makes a hug meaningful, genuine, grounded, unhurried presence is the same quality that makes every interaction meaningful. The same quality that makes conversations feel real rather than performed. That makes a woman feel genuinely seen rather than just engaged with. That creates the kind of connection that stays with her long after the interaction has ended. Most men in most interactions are not fully present. They are managing. They are thinking about how they are coming across. They are monitoring her reactions and adjusting their behavior in real time. They are somewhere between here and somewhere else. And the person they are with can feel that gap even when they cannot name it. Real presence is different. It means your attention is genuinely, completely here, not divided between here and what you are going to say next. Not split between this moment and your anxiety about how it is going, fully here, fully with her, fully in this specific, unrepeatable moment. That quality, when it is genuine, communicates something that no technique can replicate. It communicates that she matters, that this moment matters, that you are not performing connection, you are actually experiencing it alongside her. Here is what real presence requires. Emotional stability, not perfection, not the absence of nerves or the pretense of total confidence. Emotional stability, the ability to notice what you are feeling and choose how to respond to it, rather than being automatically controlled by it. When you feel anxiety rising in a social interaction, emotional stability means you notice it, take a breath, and remain present rather than contracting away from the moment. When there is an awkward silence, emotional stability means you can sit with it without rushing to fill it, without your discomfort becoming the dominant energy in the room. That stability, the quality of a man who knows himself well enough to remain grounded when things are imperfect, is what women read in those first few seconds of physical contact. And it is what they are actually reading in every interaction throughout an entire evening. Because here is the truth that connects everything. The hug is a preview. It is a micro expression of the man you actually are when you are not thinking about who to be. And when that man is genuinely present, genuinely grounded, genuinely himself, the impression it creates is not something that fades after the evening ends. It stays with her. Not because she is analyzing it consciously, because her nervous system registered something real, something rare.
Something that most men, rushing through interactions, managing their image, half present in every moment, simply do not offer. A man who is genuinely, fully, unhurriedly present does not need to be impressive. He does not need the perfect line or the perfect move. He simply needs to be there, actually, completely there, and let the quality of that presence do what no performance ever could. Let me bring everything together, because the thread running through all of it is the same. The hesitant hug communicates uncertainty, a man who is holding back from the moment rather than inhabiting it. The overpowering hug communicates a lack of calibration, intensity without the control that actually signals genuine confidence. The absent hug communicates something that might be the most damaging of all: physical proximity without genuine emotional presence, which feels, to the person receiving it, like a specific kind of invisible. And the alternative, the hug that communicates genuine masculine presence, is not defined by any technical element. It is defined by the quality of actually being there, grounded, steady, breathing, real. Present enough to let the moment be exactly what it is, without managing it from the outside. That quality extends far beyond any hug. It is what makes every interaction feel real, what makes a woman feel genuinely seen rather than just engaged with, What creates the kind of connection that stays in her mind long after she has walked away. And it begins with the simplest, most demanding thing a human being can do in any moment: actually showing up completely, without performance, without distraction, without the comfortable distance of being somewhere halfway between here and somewhere else. Just here, just present, just real. Now I want to hear from you. Honestly, which of these 3 patterns do you recognize in yourself?
And when was the last time you were genuinely completely present in a physical interaction, not managing it, not performing it, just actually there? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and I genuinely care about what you share. If this video gave you something real today, please give it a like, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe to Secrets Inside the Mind if you have not already. I am here every single day. I am Liza. I will see you tomorrow.